Welcome back. Today, we're going to look at figure bevelers, how to use them, and the differences. We've already done a video on an introduction to figure beveling, so today we're going to go into more uses. You can see there's a large variety of sizes, and the sizes come in handy. I'll go over showing you some of the biggest points of the figure beveler. Is you can see this radius right here. That's real important. You can see that the angle is fairly shallow. You can also see that it's radiused here. And it's slightly radiused this way. That will help how the beveler runs. You'll see that a regular beveler, and this is a standard beveler, it's a steeper angle. It's straight across this way, and it does have a radius here and here to help it run, and you'll see the same thing right here and here. The two bevelers, they're not interchangeable for doing figure carving or pictorial. We're going to look at a portion of the Chevy truck that I did. I've already cut it out with pictorial starting towards the front. I generally start with the biggest figure beveler that I feel comfortable with. When I am figure beveling, you'll see this portion here, and I pick it up and I hold it like this. That way I get the most stability. I use my pinky to hold the leather. That's why I don't use a weight bag, because this hand here and that pinky is holding the leather down so it doesn't shift on me. By doing that, I've got to make sure my fingernails are trimmed. So I orientate it so that this large flat portion is towards me. When I start beveling, come in, I lean it towards me just a whisker. So it's not perfectly up and down, I bring it in just a little bit. Okay, see right here? I'm going to lean it this way just a little bit. And then what that does, it helps me stay on the line without cutting in as much and shortening it. When I am beveling, you can come straight down in, or you can rock it just a little bit to one side. And with the beveler, you are tapping and moving just a little bit to keep a nice, clean, smooth bevel. With this one is the bottom of the bumper, and it just goes straight back to the ground, so I can really push that back hard. So you'd see me hitting it pretty good. Then and you can roll it with your fingers as you're coming around corners. Okay. That works good here. Then you can straighten it up and come in. I have gone just straight up and down right all the time, but it's easier for me on keeping the line. But I do come back. And since we're talking about beveling, do you see how right here there is that line where I beveled? That's called a halo mark. After we bevel, the next step is to take that and smooth it out. So what you can do is use your beveler as a matter. You just lean it back just a whisker and you walk it back. What you don't want to do is keep it upright, so when you're doing it, you're putting a mark in it. By leaning it back just slightly, you can get that off the leather and just smooth it out. That's going to make a big difference. You can also use a matting tool. I think they call this sometimes a matting beveler, but it doesn't have any real angle to it. So you just come in and walk it and mat it down. And I'm holding this one pretty well straight. I may lean it back just a hair because I'm keeping this flat edge over a deeper portion. So it would take me a lot to hit it and leave a mark. By doing this, you're going to eliminate that halo and it's going to look much more natural. But what do you do when you have like the top of the bumper here, and then you have the front of the grill right here? Well, first off, you've got to bevel the bumper, and we'll quickly do that. But you can hear I'm not beveling as deep, because on the bumper, you've got the sheet metal right below it, so there isn't that much difference in height. But we still have to smooth out the halo. Right here, we would have a 45 inside, so we would bevel that, double bevel it, And you can see I'm also using the corners, and I am leaning it back quite a bit here. So when I come around this front where it's narrow, I'm not going to be hitting the bumper itself. And you would double bevel this. But with double beveling it, you see how we have the halo right here? Well, to take care of that, we have to push it back again. So I'll just take another matting beveler that looks like that. It's small, and I can come in and just lightly push this back, spin it around, push it back lightly, and also you can use your modeling spoon. You just come in here to finish it. Because having the halo in here is also going to detract from the picture. So you can see here, we have a more even. See how this has the halo right here? And we've smoothed it out right here. Now with the beveler, when you're working this, you'll work the closest, smooth it out, mat it out. When you have like the hood here, and then you have the fender and headlight, the first thing you'll do is come in, do the hood. You can hear here, I'm not going as hard. I would rather go over it twice if I'm too shallow than push it too deep, because I can always hit it again. I can't unhit it. Once we get outside the fender area, we can really push it back. I'm going to come back here again, just lightly. We've got to move the halo back right here. So I'm just going to come in, lightly do it. So you might not be beveling full depth or cutting the full depth. And this is the nice thing about a figure beveler. You see how I'm leaning it onto the points? it allows me to get into tighter areas. And because it's rounded, I can lean it and walk it in tighter areas. So you don't need all the bevelers. You can get away with a lot less. Once we did that, we would come in and mat this back. And you can see how I'm using the corner right here to clean that up. The matting back is probably the biggest thing I see with newer people to figure carving. They'll have the halos. It just takes a little bit more time to smooth this back. When you have layers upon layers, here we have the window trim molding of the truck right here, and then we have the seat, then the cab interior, and then the window. We don't have a lot of space here to smooth out, and then we have to push this back and then smooth it out and then push the window back. So if we went a full third to half through here, pushing this back might be a little bit harder because then we have to go down again. So I lighten up those cuts. Come in with the figure beveler. I start from the foreground to the background. So we're going to start on the front. You can hear I'm not really wailing on it hard at all. And then come up here. Because the antique will collect. And that's what's really going to help you show that there's depth there. You can see here, I'm going to lean it back, and I'm going to roll it, tap it, and walk it around. And then as I get out of the corner, I'll start straightening it up. You can hear I'm not hitting that hard. On the outside, I would do the same thing. And here, you would have to be light because you've got the A-pillar right here. So you don't have a lot of room between the door, the window trim, to smooth everything out. We'll push this back, lean it back a little bit on that corner, and then we're just going to walk it around. So we've got this done. Now we have to take that halo out. Just going to push it back. The next piece that we've got is the seat, is the next thing back. So we'll come into the seat and we'll start beveling it back. And then we'll push it back to get rid of the halo. And with pictorial, you're going to learn to like beveling, because that's probably the biggest thing you're going to do. Here, where it's out the window, I can push this back a little bit more. To give it that look of depth. I can push this back right here. And then I'm going to mat this out. I do spin my work a lot. One thing you have to be careful of also, you have a big beveler like this, you can hit it pretty hard. You heard how hard I hit it. You come down to my smallest figure beveler, you've got to really watch it, because you'll drive that beveler through the leather into your stone and damage it. So learning to gauge how hard you hit the beveler, that just comes with practice and learning. The matting beveling tools, you can use the figure bevelers. You know, you can use those, and they have a whole bunch of different styles. These, if you're just getting into figure carving, don't worry about those matting bevelers yet. Worry more about your figure bevelers. That's where what you're going to use the most. The standard size from Barry King, this one is the double lot. Very good beveler. On the bevelers, the Barry King, Clay Miller, all those real good ones, they're great. But you can get away on your figure bevelers more economically. if you have to tune them a little bit, by tuning, if this edge right here is rounded real bad, so it won't cut down in the line nice and clean, all you've got to do is take a stone and you can just clean it up. You know, just rock it back and forth and then clean here until you get that edge where you want it, you know, more of a right angle, you know, sharper. You know, figure bevelers are a real basic shape, so I hope this was helpful for you in learning the bevelers a little bit. To me, they're easier to run than a standard beveler. Sizes, I think most places have like 4 or 5 sizes. You know, if you get the smallest, the largest, and one in the middle to start with, if you're just starting out, that should set you up for a while. And then as you see you need a smaller one to do what you want, then you can purchase one. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you on it. Thank you for spending some time with me. Have a blessed day and happy tooling.